fringed with black lashes any female would envy. They always made my heart flutter. It's probably the only way we can have dinner together this weekend.
I'm afraid so.
Richard examined my face intently.
Thanks for being so understanding about all these extra rehearsals, Amy. If we were just working with the professionals, it wouldn't be so intense. But with children involved...
I know, it takes a lot more time. I patted his arm. Don't worry, I'll stick around no matter how many days you leave the house early and come home late. Even if I barely see you, I promise not to forget I'm married to you.
I'll make sure you don't,
Richard said, drawing me closer and giving me a passionate kiss. I enjoyed this distraction as long as possible before slipping out of his arms. I need to change, and you should eat something before you rush off to your morning meeting with Karla. After I dressed in a pair of cotton shorts and a tattered concert t-shirt, I headed downstairs to find Richard at the kitchen table, checking his cell phone as he ate breakfast.
I cut up some fruit. It's in the fridge if you want it along with these muffins Lydia dropped off yesterday, he said.
First, coffee, then I'll think about food. I filled my mug at the counter, stepping over Loie, who decided the middle of the kitchen rug was the perfect place to take a nap. When I reached the round oak table that filled one sunny corner of our kitchen, I had to chase Fosse off the chair before I sat down. Cats, I said. Love 'em, but they sure complicate things.
Good practice for kids,
Richard said without looking up from his phone. I stared at him for a moment, then took a long swallow of my coffee. I knew Richard wanted children, and though I agreed with his desire, I still hadn't wrapped my mind around how we would manage to juggle a family with our hectic lives. As director of the Taylorsford Public Library, I not only worked full-time, but also had to be on call when my 2 part-time assistants or our volunteers couldn't cover their scheduled shifts. Then there was Richard, who taught dance at Clarion University during the academic year, traveled for frequent choreographic or dance gigs, and also participated in projects like a summer dance institute sponsored by the local school system. He did have help from his longtime dance partner, Karla Tanson, who'd agreed to be in charge of the summer institute. But Richard's involvement in that program and the upcoming premiere of their new choreographic suite still meant he spent many hours away from home. Reaching across the table, I grabbed one of the whole-grain muffins my aunt, Lydia Talbot, had brought over the day before. Aunt Lydia, who lived next door, often gifted us delicious baked goods, especially when she was trying out recipes for future county fair competitions. So, how are things going now that the guest artists have arrived? Any problems?
Not with Tamara or Dave, but Meredith.
Richard wiped his mouth with a napkin.
Well, she's being Meredith.
I'm still surprised you hired her, knowing how difficult she can be, I said, swirling the remaining coffee in my mug. Meredith Fox had once been engaged to my husband, and while I knew Richard didn't harbor any lingering feelings for her, I still felt awkward every time we met. Richard shrugged.
She's the perfect dancer for the part, and she was free, so I thought it would be okay, even though Karla finds her insufferable.
He grinned.
I sometimes have to run interference between those two.
I bet. I set down my empty mug to peel the paper baking cup away from my muffin. I can't imagine Meredith having much patience with the younger dancers, and I know Karla's bound to be protective of the students in her studio.
That's definitely part of the conflict. The other problem is Meredith's jealousy of Karla's dancing.
I nibbled on my muffin as I considered this information. Loie, who'd slipped under the table while we were talking, leapt up onto one of our wide 1920s farmhouse windowsills. Richard stared out the window as Loie hunched down, her tail thrashing.
Ah, that's what's got you so riled up, girl. That annoying rodent again. He looked back at me with a smile. Might as well call them squirrel feeders at this point.
The birds do get some of the seed, I guess. I finished off the muffin and dabbed at my lips with my napkin. Why would Meredith be jealous of Karla? She's had the more celebrated career.
Yes, but for all her faults, Meredith is a good judge of talent, and she's definitely aware that Karla's inherently more gifted than she is.
Richard pushed back his chair and rose to his feet.
Meredith has the body and the look dance companies preferred when they both started out, but she knows as well as I do that Karla is the better dancer, even if no company would give Karla a chance back then.
I guess it's too late for Karla, but I hope there are a few good, more diverse companies now, I said, picturing Richard's friend and frequent dance partner.